Hi, day 98. Well, I was going to take a little time today to explain where we are. People have heard of the Sunshine Coast on British Columbia's west coast, but a lot of people have no idea where Sunshine Coast is. And many think it's part of the Vancouver Island, but it's not. It's not an island. It is on the mainland of British Columbia. It's on the very west side of the mountains. And there are actually mountains behind us, ocean in front of us, and on the other side of the mountains is Squamish, Whistler, Lillooet, places like that. There's just no road to get through those mountains to get to the Sunshine Coast. So the only way to get here is by ferry or by boat. Some people use a water taxi. But to get here, you have to catch a ferry at Horseshoe Bay in West Vancouver. And it's a 40-minute ride on the ferry. And the ferry is not a little thing. Now, I've talked to family in Saskatchewan who, when they think of a ferry, they're thinking of a ferry that goes across the river. No, this is a ship. There are over 100 vehicles on there. It carries semi-trailers. It carries huge RVs and motorhomes. It has 5 levels in it. And it's huge. It's a ship. It's not just a boat. It's a ship. So lots of people, and it costs about $80 for the two of us in a vehicle, in our van, to ride the ferry, and it's one way. So you pay to come from West Vancouver in Horseshoe Bay to come across to Langdale Terminal, which is on the Sunshine Coast, and it's about $16-ish per person, and then about $50-some for a vehicle. If you have an RV or a large, long vehicle, then it costs a little more. And the place to go to find out all about that, the times for the ferry, because you have to be there like an hour ahead to catch the ferry, because there's lots of people in line, and you may not get on if you don't get there in time. So there's a ferry schedule, and the rates are listed on BC Ferries. Just look it up on Google and it'll come up, and that's how you get here. And when you go back, you don't have to pay. So it's kind of $80 return for us to go to Vancouver. And then when you get to Langdale, there's about 97 kilometers of highway. That's it. Just one highway. It's Highway 101, or the Sunshine Coast Highway. And there's no cities on the Sunshine Coast, just towns and a few very small places too. But it is gorgeous. It is just gorgeous. And a lot of people come here now, especially in the summer. So it can get very busy on the highway. And so tourist season, you know. But the best time to come is probably now till June, and then end of August, September till October. And it's good weather, and you'll see the flowers and the trees and the green, and get to sit by the ocean, go swimming, because the ocean is actually quite warm in the summer and into the beginning of August. So it's a good time to come. And we're not an island. And the only way that we can get to Vancouver Island is to take the ferry back to Horseshoe Bay in Vancouver, West Vancouver, and then catch another ferry to Nanaimo, or, you know, I don't think the ferry goes from Horseshoe Bay to Victoria. It could, but I know that you can catch one from Tsawwassen down in southern southern end of Vancouver. There's another terminal there that will take you to Victoria or to like Salt Spring Islands or around there. Or we can drive up the coast to a place called Earl's Cove and catch a ferry. It's a smaller ferry from Earl's Cove to Powell River, or Saltry Bay is what it's called, and then we can take a drive up that coast. That's also part of the Sunshine Coast, to another spot, Lund, and we can catch a ferry on that end to Nanaimo or to Comox, and that's how we would get to Vancouver Island. So I just wanted to fill you in. It's about at the narrowest part, the Georgia Strait. It's right around Seashell, I think, is what I read, is about 26 miles from the mainland to Vancouver Island. And we have whales and dolphins. Actually, there's some new whales that are coming in that haven't been seen in these waters for some time. Many years, actually. There's a sperm whale that was seen lately. We have humpback whales, fin whales, orcas, and a couple of different kinds of dolphin. We have seals, harbor seals, and other kinds of seals. It's spectacular. So if you ever get a chance to go to the Sunshine Coast, there are your particulars on how to get here and where we are, and so that's it. There has been talk for years and years about building a road through the mountains or doing a bridge. There's an island in between us and the mainland, so they've talked about building a bridge from the island, from the Sunshine Coast to the island, and from the island to the mainland. But there's a lot of back and forth about it, because a lot of the coasters, we call ourselves here the coasters, don't want that. We've been a best kept secret, and it's not so much a secret anymore. We have a lot of people from Vancouver coming over for weekends and stuff, so it's much busier than it used to be, and not much for rentals. It's very expensive to rent a place here. We're lucky we got in when we did, because our rental space is much better than having sticks and bricks home. Being in a trailer is a good way to go, but don't come over in a trailer unless you have a reservation somewhere. Costs a lot to come over on the ferry, and then if you don't have a reservation, you may not get a spot. So that's all my recommendations, and I hope sometime you'll come to the Sunshine Coast. You'll love it. Okay, talk to you again.